Bitcoin Cash is all about. I explained to you last week that Bitcoin Cash is effectively a offshoot of Bitcoin, and their focus is low fee microtransactions. So that's what their focus is. Low fee microtransactions. So they've made adjustments within their protocols to make low fee microtransactions more accessible with Bitcoin Cash than they are with Bitcoin. And we think that's a major benefit. So that's our what's hot and what's not. And at this point, I've left a lot of time for something I talked about 4 to 5 weeks ago. I had a very special guest on, and we told you then that we're making a push steadily in several areas. We've been putting together a massive business development piece to our overall strategy called Napkin to Exit, which focuses on tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of companies that we and a team of top business experts, starting with Shark Tank star Kevin Harrington, we are going to start pushing through thousands of companies into Napkin to Exit. Napkin meaning the bright idea somebody has when they start a company, all the way to the exit, which is obviously when you sell a company, have a company go public. It's got to go from the idea to a big success. So part of Napkin to Exit is providing funding. So that's debt, that's equity, and most importantly, we've now entered into a strategic alliance with TrueCrowd, which is a major equity crowdfunding operation. And we will be using Ratatech as the underlying platform to tokenize companies that want to raise capital. Instead of issuing shares or LLC units, they're going to do something similar that's going to be a Ratatech token. But if you don't have a place to trade the tokens, what good is it? And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. And without any further ado, I want to introduce to you my big friend, Jude LaCour. Jude is a part of the team that is now about to launch, yes, launch, an exchange solution like none other. Hi, Jude. How are you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm doing perfect. How are you?
Fantastic. Boy, you excited about this? By the way, I don't know if I told you that we have a whole new giant group of subscribers who we will be sending this recording to tomorrow. Did I let you know that? It's thousands of people.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
Glad to hear
very
it.
good. So, Jude, well, we're real excited about talking about the exchange. I want to show people, Jude, I know you're probably aware of this, but there just an article came out talking about crypto exchanges are raking in billions in revenues. And I wanted you, because Jude and his team are launching an exchange. And tonight we're going to be talking about how people can be participants and owners of the exchange. I shouldn't say launching exchange. I should talk about a massive, kind of the ultimate decentralized exchange network. And Jude, I wanted you to kind of explain to folks how do exchanges make money? How do they make money? And then I'm going to start asking you questions about our massive exchange network. So how do they make money, Guy?
Well, the biggest thing is trading fees, right? And that's what someone buys and sells, and there's a transaction fee. So they buy some Bitcoin, and they get charged a fee for that transaction, and then they sell it. And so a lot of people are speculating. There's a lot of traders out there. There's a lot of people buying cryptocurrencies for the first time. So that's a massive way that cryptocurrency or an exchange makes money is on the trading volume. And there's several other things. There's a little thing called dark pools, which we discussed previously. Sounds really sinister, but It's not. It's actually protects the market. So if people want to, there's some institutional buyers that want to buy a big block of Bitcoin, they'll come to the exchange and they'll do it off of the public exchange, so that big transaction doesn't influence pricing unfairly to the rest of the traders in the world out there. So that we, those are big transactions. So the exchange can make a fee off of those. So those are the main things. I mean, it's and then of course withdrawal fees. So anytime something happens on the exchange, the exchange charges a little something somewhere, right? So those are the main things.
And my understand there's also fees related to when a currency is added to the exchange. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you think about some of these tokenized websites out there, they need to be able to be traded on an exchange for their tokens to create value, right? So, people are looking for that. So to get on these exchanges, there's an integration fee and a listing fee. There's multiple different potential ways to charge for that, because what happens is once a coin wants to get listed on an exchange, the exchange has to work on doing the programming to get the actual coin itself into the exchange, usually done via APIs. So that's what it takes. And in some of these exchanges, I've heard numbers as high as $1 million to get listed on an exchange. Now, that's extreme. I'm sure that's hasn't happened too many times, but fees range from a few thousand to 50,000, and of course I've heard of the $1 million number. But the idea is volume, right? So make it reasonable, and let's get as many coins on the exchange as possible.
That's fantastic. So um, we're gonna refer to, and I'm gonna kind of describe something to everybody. I said the ultimate decentralized exchange network. Now, what that implies is that Jude is not launching an exchange. He is launching a decentralized exchange network, and how it's being done is very, very interesting. It's kind of like if you had an exchange by itself and it's operating out of, say, company X or country X. If country X decides, I don't like this cryptocurrency, we're done. Boom, it's gone. The whole concept of decentralization is to avoid a catastrophic change in one's business model. So, Jude, can you explain the concept of having, and I'm going to get into codename ARC, ARC, codenamed ARC project, alias the NUCO. But Jude, can you talk about the concept of having what I call essentially a technology platform? In other words, there's a country that has the actual physical hardware, a small team that services the hardware but gets the regulatory approval. I would call that almost a franchise. Talk about that and how one starts putting these all over the world.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Well, you said the key phrase, it's like a franchise, if you will. That's a little bit different, but it's about the same thing. So, we're systems developers. We have cryptocurrency exchange code that has taken, over a decade to perfect and is used very extensively. So what we're going to do is we're going to make that code available to operators in many different jurisdictions around the world. And so they will get the licensing needed in the corresponding country, and they will then use our code to manage the exchange. So then, in other words, it's just like licensing, right? And so They will license the code, which gets them completely up and running with everything that they ever need. The support is taken care of by us, and client acquisition is taken care of by us, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And so they pay a royalty on revenues generated to the company in exchange for that code, access to the know-how, access to the support that we're going to provide, the technology, the constant improvement of the technology. So basically, it creates a massive network of exchanges, because we'll be able to do this with as many as is desired. And so, bringing the technology into multiple jurisdictions, in India, and then in multiple in Europe, and then Africa and Latin America, and so on and so forth.
And I tell you what, the interest in this is, and what people understand again. Jude has acquired the top trading platform software you can buy. It's called Modulus. He bought the upgrades into the crypto part of it. So he has the cryptocurrency piece of it. So we're talking about a massive trading software that's state of the art, best of class. And on top of that, he has the team that helped build Modulus, who are now preparing to add Radatech. And it's not if, it's how quickly, which is real damn quick, particularly with what we're doing in the next 4 weeks, adding Radatech, because our pledge here is that we're going to have these units. I'm going to call them franchises. They're not franchises technically, but it's just the best way to describe it. These franchises will start popping up all over the world. We're already actually close to contract in one country, moving quickly on 3 others. You're moving very quickly on the first few franchises. Which country did you start with first?
Well, Panama is the first one, and India is already in talks. And this is really not going to be hard to get people interested in, because of the article that you showed. How cryptocurrency exchanges are raking in the profits, even though the markets and other things are in the down cycle. So, and we've really just kind of put the feelers out there. But these first 2 are very good contacts and of mine. Done quite a few things with. We're very familiar with them. They have the financial ability and the connections to get whatever is needed to make these exchanges a reality.
That's exactly right. And I started work on our 3rd one just this week, with very, very well connected folks in Colombia, which is, if you remember, a few weeks ago I did a talk on different locations worldwide that were the most promising to bring cryptocurrencies into. These are countries that are aggressively trying to bring in cryptocurrency. Malta is one of those countries as well that our process has begun with. So Malta, Panama, Colombia, India, and it's just, and once again, for those companies to start up, their biggest expense will be just getting the licenses to operate. I mean, we're not talking about a huge amount of money for the actual hardware, are we, Jude?
Well, the hardware itself, no. Yeah, that's not that difficult. I mean, it is expensive, and more expensive than putting up a simple website. I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it, but relative to what it's going to take to get this thing up and running, no, it's not a major expense.
Yep. And so just to give you an idea, the U.S. company is located here, and we're calling that code name ARC. We will be revealing the name itself in the next few days. We call it code name ARC. And what that company does is it owns the software. It owns all the upgrades. It owns the upgrade to Radatech capability. And that company, working with us, will be bringing many, 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 many clients or customers, many which are going to set up fundraising, crowdfunding, funding raising through TrueCrowd. Those will be tokenized. Those companies will then place their tokens on the exchange. So we're talking about just a massive way to build customers using the Radatech technology. So you folks who who got involved with the detection agent program, the tidal wave is a coming. So, and last but not least, the central company, codenamed ARC, provides the software, provides the exchange, provides the license, provides the companies, the clients, and a massive public awareness campaign. And that's one of the reasons why thousands of people now, for the first time starting tomorrow, will be hearing this recording. And the fees that are going to be generated to our central company, ARC, codenamed ARC, are going to be enormous. It's going to be based on all those transactions, folks. All those transactions. So let me, I'm kind of going down the line here. So we've talked about the locations, Jude. We've talked about the general strategy. Now let's talk about, the first three companies that we are going to be tokenizing as rapidly as possible and putting on the exchange as soon as it lights up are three entities or three groups. One of them is Digital Frontier Marketing. If you are a Digital Frontier Marketing investor, we are going to be soon enough, very soon, tokenizing our units. And the next group will be Radatech, and we will be tokenizing the units. And then last but not least, all you folks that have bought cloud coins, guess what? So that's the first thing we're focusing on. Is that correct, June?
Absolutely. And those things that already have people that are holding the coins and the currency or have invested, whatever the case may be, the beautiful thing is that's what we're going after here. We're tokenizing those things on this exchange so that all of those things that people are holding, whether it's coins or investment, whatever, is now going to have the value that it needs. So it's going to turn into an asset. And so, the beautiful thing about this in my mind is not only the fact that those things are going to be turned into an asset, but the fact that these exchanges are going to have Radatech. It's going to be blockchain 2.0, post-blockchain technology, where other exchanges aren't going to have it. And when the world finds out about Radatech, we're expecting an avalanche. And for many, many reasons that we've talked about a couple other times, I don't know if we want to get into that here or not, but the reality is Radatech makes all of the tokenization work that's not working today with Ethereum-based tokenized websites. And DFM and Radatech and Cloudcoin are going to be the first demonstration of post-blockchain true tokenization that nobody else can do right now. That's the beautiful thing about the whole thing altogether.
And I think and Jude is one of the masterminds on this because he really saw the vision of Radatech. We're not talking about going on bended knee to one exchange and hoping and praying that they put Radatech in their system. Oh, no. What we've done with project codenamed ARC, our new co in the United States, we are setting up a system to have franchise exchanges all over the world. So instead of trying to go one exchange at a time, we're talking about blanketing the world with exchanges that are operated and owned by the local big businessmen and very, very, very connected people in each of these countries. So instead of waiting on one, we're just saying hell with that. We're just going to start plunking them one after the next, after the next, after the next. So you'll have all of these marketing footprints and in terms of liquidity and consumer awareness, and then we're ourselves building a massive database to make people aware of these exchanges. So you could really thank Jude for kind of the vision of having a spider web or a decentralized web of franchises worldwide. So that's a pretty bright idea there, my friend.
Well, I appreciate it, but it kind of just makes sense, and it's a model that's been used many other times. It's going to work beautifully in this scenario. And the other side benefit of this is the fact that should Radatech decide that it wants to be on the existing big exchanges, Binance and so on and so forth, well, we're kind of going to force that issue, aren't we? Because we're going to get it on these exchanges, and there's going to be exchange after exchange with Radatech. So the other exchanges are going to go, well, hold on a second, we need those tokens too. That'll be a policy decision down the road whether Radatech wants to do that or not. But the beauty is we're creating the awareness, so the possibilities are endless at that point once everybody knows about Radatech and the exchanges and how we're basically just going to turn the blockchain world on its ear and in a more effective, better for everybody kind of way. That's the beauty of it.
Would you best describe this, our what I call our ultimate decentralized exchange network, as almost a super exchange?
Yeah, essentially, really, it definitely can be that, because the software and the entity here is just basically going to be providing all the tech to all the other exchanges. So it's just it's kind of like running from one place for all intents and purposes.
And this is a similar strategy to what, and I'm not saying that we're Microsoft here, but Microsoft developed software. They developed licensing. And what do? They got their software in IBM PCs. That's what they did. It's essentially they did it at a micro level, and this is something that's done by franchise operations all over the world. It's not like you have the McDonald's that are owned in China aren't owned by McDonald's corporate. Those are operations that pay royalty fees, licensing fees for the McDonald's trademarks, for their recipes, for their management, and this is a standard operating basis. But here's the really cool part that we have more than any other part with Arc is we own the software, and the software is really expensive. Okay, that's the meaty part, folks, and it will be rated to. And could you kind of talk through, from the time that the developers start working? I know you kind of touched on this, but you've got the original group that worked on Modulus, or one of the major groups. Jude, can you talk about kind of what that process is? Are we talking years? Are we talking 9 months? Are we talking 2 months, 4 months? From the time we cut them their first check, what's the timeline in terms of Radatech being compatible with Modulus?
Yeah, so we've already been discussing that and planning that out. Realistically, we can get it up and running with changes that are needed, with integrating Radatech in 60 days. Okay, so that's a best case scenario. I mean, it's possible it could take a little bit longer depending on what happens. Things happen, but based on our planning, we don't feel like we're going to have any issues. We feel like 60 days is realistic because the code already exists, and the only thing that we have to do is modify it based on things that have happened since the code was developed, and then we have to integrate CloudCoin from an enterprise level. So the exchange can work with CloudCoin. CloudCoin works a little bit different than other cryptocurrencies out there. And so Sean Worthington is already doing his part by looking at the code and figuring out how he has to modify on his end to make it easy for us to integrate on our end. So everything's moving together perfectly. I don't feel like it's going to take longer than 60 days.
And then the other piece that has to run parallel is our first country, starting with Panama and India, doing what they need to do to get their licensing, probably temporary licensing, then moving to full licensing. But folks, this is why we've picked these particular countries. Not to get too deep into the weeds, but let's just say in Panama, we're dealing with some very powerful people there, and I won't go farther than that. And in India, the same, and certainly Colombia right behind that. So if you have, and I'm just going to say this way, the critical thing is having strong, with that's air quotes, capital bold, strong local partners. And I've done this. I've had companies in other countries, and in Puerto Rico, for instance, I opened a telephone company, and my partner was the son of the former governor of Puerto Rico. And trust me, when you're working with the son of the former governor of Puerto Rico, who at that time was also, I believe, he was the sitting congressman, U.S. congressman for Puerto Rico. Hey, things can happen pretty quick. So, is that a reasonable statement? What our strategy is to work with strong local partners, Jude.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been doing business all around the world since mid 90s. And when you're dealing with these countries, you can't operate it all yourself from a remote location. You need the right people in those jurisdictions, especially in Latin countries or India or places like that. You really got to have the right people there that are going to make the right decisions for the project. But in addition, they're able to do what needs to be done on many different levels. I mean, a lot of these countries, as you hinted at, they run on politics, right? So you have to be immersed into the things that are going on in that country. You have to have the connections to make things happen. There are other places where that's not necessarily required, maybe some places in Europe or whatever, but when you're dealing with a lot of these foreign jurisdictions, you just absolutely have to have the right people to make something like this happen. And especially in the finance realm, cryptocurrency is a new thing. Some of these countries have specific rules on things that have to be done, and some don't. And to be able to navigate all of that, it's just for one entity to try to do this all over the world is just not even smart. But so that's the key. You got to have the right people on many different levels.
Exactly. So our mission right now, by the way, just to make sure everybody understands this, and Jude, you can confirm this. These exchanges, this software allows these exchanges not only obviously will be utilizing the RadarTech based digital currencies and tokens, but we're talking all the current rate. We're talking about many of the existing cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum. Correct, Jude?
Yeah, absolutely. Every coin that we can get, we will put on there. Of course, there's the core actual currencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum. We can put those on. But in addition, we're interested in the other coins, the tokenized platforms, the Trons, the EOS, etc. So yes, the idea is to make the exchanges have as much revenue potential as possible with everything that we can put on it.
Exactly. And now, drum roll, as everybody is kind of going, okay, Bob, but you did say something about ownership or participation, didn't you? That I did. So the first thing we're doing, I can't tell you, I can't actually publicly announce the second phase of what we're doing to fund this operation because it actually has to be filed with the Securities Exchange Commission. So I can't tell you the second phase, but just let's put it this way. I've done this before. But we are announcing the first phase, which is what's called a friends and family round that will involve 35 unaccredited investors and then as many as many accredited investors as possible, which involves folks an accredited investor makes either 250,000 a year or 200,000 a year as a single filer, and 300,000 a year as a married or couple. Or they can have $1 million net worth, not counting their home. That's an accredited investor. So 35 unaccredited investor positions are available, because that's all you can do with a friends and family. You can't do any more than 35. I think some of you are aware of that. And then we will, of course, accredited investors. That's fine. I don't know what our limitation is on the friends and family raise, but here's the most important single fact. This particular raise, once again, the NewCo, or codenamed ARK, the company, the decentralized exchange network, the holder of the licenses, essentially the one providing the licenses, getting the royalties, providing the customers, the central company will be tokenized. And in addition to that, we are going to be doing a very unique distribution model of quarterly royalty. I call it royalty. It's hard. There may be different terms in different countries. It could be fee, it could be royalty. We're going to be doing a quarterly royalty distribution to the investors. Now, why is that important? Well, first of all, it's liquidity, because the minute the exchanges go up and there's trading, you're making transactional fees. So rather than having you wait 6 or 7 years till the company gets sold or goes public, we're going to be doing distributions from the transactional fees. Why is that important? Because those tokens we are issuing, rather than the share certificates or the units, will be also trading on the exchanges. So you're talking about liquidity for shareholders, or we're going to call them unit holders for right now, that will be basically virtually instant. And as those fees are generated and distributions happen on a quarterly basis through royalty payments, guess what? It could very well affect the token price, because they're going to be traded on the exchange. So you have two different ways of immediate liquidity. Am I describing this properly, Jude?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I didn't go too far. Okay.
No. I mean, that's the key, right? I mean, the trading volume creates the value, right? So that's what is needed here.
Right. And a question, because I didn't really touch on this. I know on the friends and family, to launch everything and to get the software done and everything completed, is the number somewhere around, is it around 500,000 before we go on to phase 2, which I really can't talk about it until we're filed? Is it about 500,000? Is that the correct number? Because I mean, I know you're limiting this. You're not going to go, because the folks, the friends and family round is always where the best deal is in terms of a percentage of the company. So Jude doesn't want to give away the store. So what we're looking with the friends and family round is to be able to get it going very rapidly, to start setting up the effectively the franchises, get the software, basically getting Radatech added to it. Is about $500,000 what we're looking at.
Yes, and that's going to cover the tech, the updates, getting infrastructure in place, and a lot of what we need to make this thing a reality.
Exactly. So the valuation on that is just like nothing. I can tell you that right now. So I just wanted to give everybody the opportunity, because this is going out tomorrow, this recording. And if you want to be on the list, because what we're going to be doing, as soon as the private placement memorandum is ready to go and to be issued, I'm just going to go down, as people have emailed us or emailed me about their interest in getting the PPM. Um, I'm gonna send it out in that order. So if you're interested in at least getting information on the private placement memorandum to be an owner of what could very well be one of the most, if not the most valuable exchange entities out there, I think it certainly will. Certainly has the potential when you're talking about an exchange network versus a solitary exchange that's that has effectively franchises worldwide. I think that could be pretty interesting. You think we have some an opportunity to add some value, Jude?
Well, I people ask me questions like that all the time, and sometimes they like my answers, and sometimes they don't. And some of the reasons why they don't is because they think my answers are too optimistic. But the combination of what is happening here with the Radatech and what we have planned for being able to tokenize businesses like is not possible today with existing technology. I don't think any of us have a clue on just how massive it will be when we complete this. And I'm like a big thinker. My numbers are always high, and I think that I don't even have an understanding of what we're talking about here, because
I think you're
this is
right. I think
this
you're
is a
absolutely right.
yeah, this is a major paradigm shift. So it's not just the network. Like I said, it's tokenizing businesses that it's actually going to work. So everyone's touting tokenizing your business and being able to create value by tokenizing your business, except that no one's been able to get mass uptake. So when we get mass uptake using Radatech, because it's just so simple for even the housewife to do it, because she doesn't even have to think about it, that's where things can explode to levels that I don't even think I comprehend.
Yeah, and I think one of the key things, and this by the way, what I'm about to describe actually was a result of that expansion accelerator event that we did just 4 weeks ago. That's now way over 5 to 10 million bucks in deals rolling now. I mean, we just added another gigantic one. But when Jude met with the owner of TrueCrowd, which is a fully SEC approved crowdfunding site. And we've entered into agreements so that we are going to be bringing in many companies to crowdfund on that site that are tokenized. So we have parallel, kind of parallel flanking strategies. Working with a Shark Tank star, Kevin Harrington, and his army of experts, building this info product which attracts tens of thousands of companies who will become subscribers who want access to capital, getting them over to TrueCrowd, getting them funded, building investor lists, huge investor lists who will want to get involved with crowdfunding. Those people will be getting their, raising funds for their companies using Radatech, and those tokens are going to be where? They're going to be on all these exchanges in Panama and India and Colombia and Malta and who knows how many other countries. So you're going to have, and that type of liquidity is amazing. So, yeah, I got to tell you, it is, you don't even want to even kind of venture a guess, but I think we have a good strategy. Wouldn't you say, Jude? So, listen, if you want to be put on the list so that when we do start sending out the private placement memorandum, you just email me tonight. And for folks who are going to get this recording tomorrow and the next day, email me at bob@digitalcurrencygrowth.com, bob@digitalcurrencygrowth.com, with the subject line NEWCO. NEWCO, NEWCO. That's NEWCO. That's the code word that I need. And I will be sending out the PPMs in the order that they came in. So if you're merely interested and you want to learn more, if you want to be be an owner in this, participant in this, be part of the front end of, what hell could be the next Apple, who knows? make sure you email me right away, because I will be sending out the ppms based on first come whoever emailed me. And as I said, we are this recording, you folks that are hearing this now live, this recording will be going out to these massive new subscriber files we've been working on. So Jude, is there anything else you want to say before I wrap this up? We've gone kind of overtime here before I do our famous 1,000 cloud coin drawing for 5 winners. Anything else you'd like to say?
Well, I think it's a great thing that is being put together here for anybody that's already holding any of the cloud coins, or done any investment or participated in Rate Attack or DFM. And so, these coins that you're about to give away is a further proof that whoever gets these, once we get these exchanges up, that we're going to create the value. And we touched briefly on what's going to happen at this point, and it's for the people that come into this friends and family deal, we don't know the exact numbers yet, but it's going to be a profit sharing type deal, a pool. And considering that most exchanges are kind of like isolated to the entities onto themselves, and we're talking about franchising, I think that those potential royalties, or however it's structured, could be phenomenal for people, and I'm looking forward to seeing people benefit from that.
Absolutely. Well, I want to, and folks, Jude, I hope you can come on. We're probably going to do some more briefings on this over the next couple weeks, kind of updates on everything. Would you mind coming on? I know you're busy in a one-arm paper hanger, but do you have any issue coming on next week or the following week?
Oh no, anytime. Just let me know. I mean, yes, I'm working on other things, but the beauty is those things are getting stabilized. The right people are in place, because this exchange and trading and cryptocurrency is my thing that I want to focus on the most, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
Exactly. And by the way, because we have a giant international audience now, getting bigger and bigger, we are now we have it's interesting. We have a number of folks around the world, and I'm talking big players who are big business owners. If they are interested in contacting us regarding having their own exchange, we'll call it exchange in a box. Maybe that's the name, Jude. Exchange in the box, in a box. But once again, you gotta be pretty wired people, and I want to once again say we're looking for strong local partners, and certainly we have a lot of relationships. So I want to thank you again, Jude,